Thank you for joining us. I'm Lenita Wesson. The 47 ABC News Hour starts now. Beginning tonight in Delaware, a town hall happening in Dover within the next hour. It's hosted by the Correctional Officers Association of Delaware, with Governor John Carney expected to attend. Now, the association has been vocal on concerns within Delaware's prison system. Well, the governor of Delaware responding to a potential lawsuit. We told you earlier this week an attorney for the family of a Vaughn correctional officer killed in an inmate uprising last month is promising to sue state officials in federal court. That's unless the family gets answers. Continuing coverage of Damon Bethea's trial. Now, Bethea stands accused of a double homicide and home invasion in January of 2014. The crime, a part of a bigger operation where a gang would operate mafia style, robbing drug dealers in Kent and Sussex counties. 47 ABC's Julian Sador was there for day 4 and reports today the jury heard interesting testimony. That's right, Mayor Jake Day and other government officials spending the evening in Doverdale, knocking on doors and talking to residents. Now, the goal is to provide an open line of communication and connect leaders with the people they serve. 47 ABC's Ryan Eldridge is working to highlight this effort and has joined city leaders. He's live now with more. I'm Lenita Wesson. The 47 ABC News Hour starts now. Well, the jury is deliberating in a trial for a Pittsville woman accused of fatally stabbing her husband. Well, Memorial Day just a few short weeks away, and with warmer temperatures around the corner and frequent trips to the beach, it's important to remember to be safe while having fun in the sun.
I'm joined by Melinda Geiser. She's the assistant principal at the Greenwood Mennonite School. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So, great to be here, and you're here like every year now. For how long?
Every year. It's been about 15 years, the Mennonite School, and one of the churches has done the food booth at the fair.
And so, talk to us about, you do fundraisers, but you were saying this is pretty much your biggest one.
This is the biggest fundraiser. All of the funds go to subsidized tuition for our students. We have about 220 students pre-K to 12th grade over in Greenwood at our school. So we try and keep tuition as low as possible so that as many people as possible can come.
Now, I've heard good things. Tell me a little bit about this menu. What can we expect? Like last night, tell us.
Well, Emily, I had one of those moments when people say there are no words and then struggle to find words adequate enough to describe the moment. So I'll go with awe-inspiring, magnificent, and outright impressive. Now, when I was there late last month, we saw the vision coming together, but much of our visuals were computer generated. Today, to walk in that visitor center was to be connected with history and to, quite honestly, feel the spirit of Harriet Tubman.
Guests came by the busload to witness this historical moment. When I first walked in, my emotions got away from me. It was as if the books I'd read and the research I'd done on the life of Harriet Tubman had come to life in an instant. It was overwhelming, and I wasn't alone in feeling that way. Dr. Kate Clifford Larson, whose book, Bound for the Promised Land, was the historical point of reference for the exhibits, gave me her initial reaction.
Well, tears, first of all, and great pride and honor that this is happening for Harriet Tubman. She deserves this, and I am so excited for the world to come here and experience these exhibits, learn about the real flesh and blood woman.
Aside from the size of the exhibit pieces, the quotes and images were spectacular. Beginning with her childhood and adult life as a woman of faith and moving into her roles as Underground Railroad agent, Civil War spy, and humanitarian, one really felt as though they were in the life of Harriet Tubman. Beginning with a video on the beauty of the Choptank River region, and on the other side, the ugliness of slavery.
Then it shows Tubman at work as a young child, checking muskrat traps on the Little Blackwater River. She was improperly clothed, she was freezing cold, and she was checking these foul-tempered creatures for her master.
That's followed by a section about her faith, which is the only section that doesn't have a quote directly from Harriet Tubman. Thomas Garrett, who was a white, male, land-owning Quaker and was pivotal to the movement, had this to say: "I've never met any person of any color who had more confidence in the voice of God as spoken direct to her soul, and her faith in a supreme power truly was great."
The next section is all about the Underground Railroad and her self-emancipation and the emancipation of the rest of her family and friends.
As the story goes, she emancipated herself and came back 12 times for family and friends. The visitor center is a storied piece of history that takes you on a winding road in the life of Tubman, with a Jacob Lawrence photo on the west wall designed to capture the rays of the sunset, and a legacy section that talks about the home Tubman purchased and the house she opened for aging African Americans. Guests are literally immersed into who she was. It's intended to be seen, felt, and experienced.
She fought for freedom, her family. She was just tied up and bound by her faith and her love of her community. She would be happy with the changes today, but she would know there's more work to do. And I hope that she's an inspiration for people to continue the fight, and she would be smiling today.
Now, the exhibit ends with a bench that visitors can sit on next to a bronze statue of Tubman, and you saw that in the piece. On that bench, you're underneath panels that show the Eastern Shore, Dorchester County, in summer, winter, spring, and fall. It's thrilling, and it won't disappoint for those who are planning to visit. And speaking of, opening weekend, Emily, is tomorrow and Sunday, and they have a lot of activities planned for the kids, and it'll be a great way to spend a couple of hours, whether you're a history buff or just want to experience a piece of history right in our backyard. Emily, back to you.
My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at 31, and she died at 33. I was 15, so I was always very self-conscious about breast cancer.
Meet Erica Ramos Atkins. She says she started her monthly self-breast exams at age 21 because she didn't want cancer. However, it was at the age of 31 that her life would change forever. She felt a lump in her breast, and she remembers it vividly.
And then I went to the doctor, same day they sent you for a biopsy. Then 3 days later, I got a phone call telling me I had cancer. 3 weeks later, I was on the operating table at Johns Hopkins.
Everything went really fast. She had a double mastectomy, and then she started treatments.
I did 6 months of chemotherapy every 2 weeks. I did 6.5 weeks of radiation. So I'm done with those treatments.
She's done with treatment, but she sees her doctors every 6 months. She has the infamous BRCA1 gene, so she's constantly being screened for cancer. When I asked her about the changes in her life since her surgery and treatment, one word summed it up.
Everything. I was very energetic. I could do anything. Now, I don't have as much energy. If I go for a walk and I do a load of laundry, I'm pooped for the rest of the day, which is really hard to be my age and realize that you just can't do the things that a normal 34-year-old can do.
Her left arm constantly hurts, and if she overdoes it, she retains fluid in that arm, which is why she sometimes wears a compression sleeve. Her mobility is limited as well. The surgery left her with only a certain range of motion in her arm.
I was an active runner. I used to run marathons, so I was always into stretching, always into yoga. Can't get into certain yoga positions. I can't stretch just with both my arms up like I used to enjoy to do.
But through it all, she says she remains a spiritual person. She credits God, her mother-in-law, and her husband for getting her through this ordeal. Her husband helped her to shower and use the bathroom and get in and out of bed right after the surgery. She said if it hadn't been for him, she would have been bedridden. Perhaps a little hesitant, I asked about the possibility of a family. She said she does want children.
Thanks to an organization like Hope Foundation from Lance Armstrong, I was able to get a grant to preserve my embryos, which is a whole different process in itself, very painful, but very fortunate.
She has embryos in the freezer, and when she's ready for them, they'll be waiting. With the possibility of her going through an early menopause, Erica says she may never be able to carry a child and may have to use a surrogate. She chuckled when she mentioned the friend who said she would rent Erica her body. I also met Sharon that day. Though the two ladies shared the same disease, their stories are very different. Sharon found out she had breast cancer in 2008, around the time her father died. She says she doesn't do self-breast exams because she has fibrocystic breasts, meaning her breasts are naturally lumpy, swollen, and sometimes painful.
They did it with the mammogram. It was a small nodule. And then they said it's going to watch it, but then never knew when I was going to physical therapy for my shoulders that the ultrasound makes your lump grow.
And as it turned out, she was pregnant at the time.
I had a red discharge from my nipple, and they said after the baby come back, I never went back. And was getting ultrasound on my shoulders, and the little nodule grew to the size of my fist.
It was that large.
It was that big.
Sharon's survivor story started to take the fast track. Her doctors notified her that she had ductal carcinoinsinuatu, or DCIS, which is 0-stage and contained in the duct unless it progresses and leaks out. Right after her doctor explained all of this, they scheduled her first surgery.
They had a tram flap, which is where they cut your nipple off, they take everything out, and cut you from hip to hip, take your fat and your muscle, and pack it back into your breast. And they put 2 drainage tubes in your breast area, 2 drainage tubes in your stomach, so that all that bad fluids will come out.
She was in the hospital for about a week, followed by 6 weeks of rest. After that, they reconstructed her nipple to, use her words, put her body back together. Through all of this, she says she never got down or depressed.
Life with a happy spirit, keep it positive, keep going. You get better outcome, and that's how I see it.
Newly married for a little over a year now, I asked Sharon how she approached telling her new husband about her mastectomy.
I call it battle scars. I let him know that tell him that I had cancer, and I told him procedure, and I'm like, my body just don't look like everyone else's. No matter how they did the surgery, I'm still me. That doesn't change who I am within the inside. It's just an outer layer, and
she says her husband doesn't see her or the mastectomy as different. And as a woman of faith, Sharon had a message for the woman at home struggling with a similar diagnosis.
Don't be down. Be happy about that you found it in time, that you're living. Take it day by day, and just pray and thank God for life.
Truly, words to live by. Lenita Wesson, 47 ABC.
48th year.
Meet Mary Draper. She's been working as a crossing guard for, you heard her, 48 years. It started back when her kids were in school.
We live near Prince Street School, and my kids went there. So that's how I got started, when my kids went to Prince Street School, and I've been doing it ever since.
In the rain, sleet, and snow, if school is in, Mary is working.
If schools are closed for snow, yeah, I'm off.
But otherwise?
Yeah, otherwise, I'm out here.
It's a pretty cut and dry job in a stopping traffic for kids to cross kind of way. She walks them from one corner to the next and then again. Most of the kids we saw took off running once they were well in the center of the road, but Mary doesn't exit the crosswalk until she's certain they have safely made it to the other side. According to Deputy Michael Farmer, who co-directs the program, she is one of the 10 crossing guards in the county who've gone through a thorough application process.
The crossing guards are selected. They all fill out an application. We do a background check. We do a one-on-one interview with them. And then we do a training with them also as far as what to do, where to do, when to do it.
Like Mary, many of the guards have more than one spot. They do a couple of crossings in the morning, and then they come back in the afternoon. While they are contractual employees from year to year, most return.
They're basically terminated, but they all come back. Because, they're good at what they do.
And with experience ranging from 4 to 48 years, program co-director Deputy Bonnie Dolga says they're a rare and precious find.
It takes a special, unique person to do what they do. And all of them. I mean, they love it. They absolutely love it.
As for Mary's future, her great-grandkids are already making plans.
I said, Mom, are you going to go for 50?
Well,
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.